Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a powerful and often misunderstood transformation that has taken place quietly, steadily, and strategically over the past decade. The question many people are now asking is simple. How did Sweden, a peaceful Nordic nation known for neutrality and calm diplomacy, become one of the biggest factors reshaping Russia's threat perception? This story is deeper than headlines, more complex than political statements, and far more significant than many realize. Sweden's shift from quiet observer to a central figure in Europe's security landscape represents one of the most dramatic geopolitical evolutions of our time. In this video, we're going to break down how that happened, why the Kremlin is paying extremely close attention, and how Sweden's actions are reshaping the strategic balance in Northern Europe. Sweden's journey begins with its long history of neutrality, a policy that defined its identity for over 2 centuries. The country avoided major wars, maintained a diplomatic middle ground, and built a reputation as a mediator rather than a participant in global military tensions. But neutrality does not mean weakness, and that's a misunderstanding many outsiders have had about Sweden. Even during its neutral years, Sweden maintained one of the most advanced domestic arms industries in Europe, developed sophisticated surveillance systems, and built a military doctrine specifically crafted for resisting large invasions. What changed over the last decade is not Sweden's capability, but its willingness to use it in coordination with others. The turning point came in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea. The shock waves of that event hit Sweden harder than many countries expected. Sweden realized that its region was no longer insulated from aggressive geopolitical moves, and the security environment that had allowed it to stay neutral for so long was rapidly disappearing. Russian submarines were detected near Swedish waters, prompting one of the largest submarine hunts in Swedish history. Russian jets began making aggressive flights near Gotland and over the Baltic Sea. These events shattered the illusion that Sweden could remain untouched by tensions. Public opinion shifted rapidly, political parties reevaluated their positions, and for the first time in generations, Sweden began openly reassessing its security priorities. What followed was one of the most significant military revitalizations in modern Europe. Sweden reintroduced conscription, expanded its defense budget, rebuilt regiments that had been previously downsized, and strengthened its coastal defense capabilities near the Baltic Sea. The island of Gotland, strategically located in the center of the Baltic, became a focal point. Sweden moved armored vehicles, air defense units, and rapid response troops there, turning the island into a fortified hub that could influence the movement of any navy in the region. This transformation alone sent a strong signal to Moscow. Sweden was no longer assuming peace. It was preparing for the possibility of conflict. But Sweden's shift wasn't just about rebuilding its military. It was about choosing sides. For decades, Sweden deliberately stayed outside NATO. That changed entirely after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Overnight, Swedish public opinion flipped, and long-standing resistance to NATO membership disappeared. Joining NATO meant Sweden was no longer a neutral state. It became part of the most powerful military alliance in human history. For the Kremlin, this was a seismic blow. The Baltic Sea, once bordered by a mix of NATO and non-NATO countries, is now almost entirely surrounded by the alliance. For Russia, this dramatically changes the strategic map. Sweden's entry into NATO also brings capabilities the alliance values highly. Sweden is not a passive member. It contributes cutting-edge assets that directly complicate Russian military planning. One of Sweden's most feared contributions is its fleet of Saab Gripen fighter jets. These aircraft were designed specifically with the Russian threat in mind. They can operate from improvised road bases, carry advanced electronic warfare systems, and engage multiple targets in contested airspace. Their quick turnaround time and low maintenance requirements make them ideal for responding rapidly to any Russian activity in the region. Even more concerning for the Kremlin is Sweden's advanced submarine technology. The A-26 and Gotland class submarines are considered some of the quietest in the world, equipped with air-independent propulsion that allows them to remain underwater for extended periods without detection. These submarines are so stealthy that they famously sank a U.S. aircraft carrier during a training exercise, shocking military observers. For Russia, whose Baltic fleet already struggles with surveillance and logistics, Sweden's submarines represent a major strategic challenge. Sweden's intelligence and surveillance capabilities also play a critical role. The country possesses some of the most advanced early warning radar systems in Europe. The Saab Giraffe and Iri systems provide long-range detection of aircraft, missiles, and naval movements, often spotting activity before other NATO states do. Combined with Finland's intelligence network and Norway's advanced monitoring of the Arctic region, Sweden helps form a surveillance shield that limits Russia's ability to move unnoticed in northern Europe. Another factor contributing to Russia's worries is Sweden's innovation in weapons technology. The country produces the N-Law, a shoulder-fired anti-tank weapon used extensively and effectively in Ukraine. Simple, portable, and deadly to armored vehicles, the N-Law became one of the iconic weapons of the early months of the war. Sweden also develops advanced artillery systems like the Archer, which can fire multiple rounds in quick succession and relocate before the enemy can respond. This shoot-and-scoot capability makes it extremely difficult for opposing forces to target Swedish units. Beyond military hardware, Sweden's strategic location gives it enormous influence over the Baltic Sea region. Whoever controls the Baltic controls key shipping routes, military supply lines, and communication corridors. Sweden's proximity to Russian enclaves like Kaliningrad, one of the most militarized areas in Europe, puts it in a position where its actions directly affect Russian military planning. From Moscow's perspective, Sweden's upgraded defenses and NATO membership make it significantly harder for Russia to project power beyond its borders. Sweden's cybersecurity capabilities add another layer to the situation. Over the past decade, Sweden has become a leader in combating cyber threats, disinformation, and hybrid warfare techniques, methods Russia frequently uses to undermine Western states. Swedish agencies have uncovered multiple cyber intrusions linked to Russian groups and have become a central partner in European efforts to protect digital infrastructure. This means Russia cannot reliably use information warfare tools in the region without Sweden playing a role in countering them. Sweden's diplomatic posture has also hardened. Once cautious and measured, Sweden now openly criticizes Russian aggression, supports Ukraine with financial and military aid, and participates in joint NATO exercises demonstrating unity and readiness. These exercises often include simulations of defending territory against a Russian attack, something that would have been unthinkable for Sweden just 20 years ago. This shift signals that Sweden is not merely joining NATO on paper, it is actively preparing to contribute to collective defense in meaningful ways. Perhaps the most underestimated aspect of Sweden's transformation is its ability to mobilize society rapidly. Conscription means a large portion of the population receives military training, and Sweden's total defense doctrine ensures that every part of society, businesses, government, civilians, knows its role in crisis scenarios. This makes Sweden far more resilient than many nations. reducing the effectiveness of Russia's attempts to destabilize or intimidate it. Taken together, all these elements, military modernization, NATO membership, advanced technology, strategic geography, intelligence capabilities, societal resilience, and strong alliances, form a picture that explains exactly why Sweden has become a major concern for Moscow. Sweden is not becoming aggressive, it is becoming strategically significant. For Russia, which already faces pressure along its western borders, Sweden's alignment with NATO creates additional barriers and strategic complications that cannot be ignored. Sweden's rise as a security power is not about seeking conflict. Rather, it is about ensuring stability in a region where unpredictability has grown dangerously common. The Kremlin fears Sweden not because Sweden wants war, but because Sweden now has the tools, alliances, and determination to prevent one. And in geopolitics, the ability to prevent war can be just as powerful as the ability to wage it. As the world continues to watch developments in Europe, Sweden's role will only grow more important. Its transformation shows how quickly geopolitical landscapes can shift and how nations that appear quiet or neutral can become central players when circumstances demand it. Sweden's message to the Kremlin is simple. It is no longer standing on the sidelines. It is prepared, it is capable, and it is supported by powerful allies. Thank you for watching, and if you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep global analysis.